Good morning, everybody. Jack Leeson with StartupTraining.com. It is 9:17 here on the 26th of September. It's a few more trading days to the end of the month, and we have run into yesterday's premium levels that I had drawn, and those premium levels are the full 50% retracements. We traded them about, I don't know, 40 minutes ago or so. Um, the full 50% retracement short, since we've broken down, it's a halfway back short for the week. It's a halfway back short from the all-time highs, but Monday's high to what is now Thursday's low traded 24,727 here in the overnight session. And you can draw this to the RTH. If you were to draw the RTH, it'd be a little different. But there's going to be sellers on both of those levels. And this is really going to be the ceiling for the day. Now, if we get a really hard squeeze above it and can stay above that level, then we got a different story. But if we continue to hold this halfway back short, um, we very well could be next week completing this profit target, which is 24,280, which I believe Perry was kind of he said the Bears, his analysis was the Bears were going to be targeting the low here of September um, 17th. And let's just measure what percentage of a pullback that would be if we got down there. That's literally 3% off the highs. So we're in very minuscule territory. As far as pullbacks go, we're only 1.5% off the all-time high right now. So it'd be nothing to get down to 3% on that profit target. So as we go into the day, I'm really going to be bearish bias unless we can gain some traction above this 50% retracement. But it's also important to note where we came from out of that second sweep of lows. There was some divergence at that 2 o'clock low on the prior day. The ES made a new low, the NASDAQ did not. And you can see this type of action, very aggressive, extremely, like on the smaller time frames, one-way extensions. We traded up to highs. There was like, this was really one of the better trades yesterday because we had a very slow creep down into a halfway back short, but then we're going bottom of the range. So the action yesterday was bottom of the range to top of the range, bottom of the range to top of the range. Where are we at relative to the range here going into the day? Top of the range. I am currently short. I'm anticipating us to at least take out the overnight session low, and then maybe go from there. But because there's so much back and forth here, you want to be, once you're in a trade and it's moving your way, one thing to keep in mind here today, you really want to be trailing your positions. Do not let them move far against you after they've moved further your way, because if you're holding for higher time frame targets and you're not getting them, you can see how sharp these reversals are. I mean, look at this reversal at 2 o'clock yesterday as we approached lows. We were trading down at 24,450. 15 minutes later, we were 110 points higher. So that's a pretty nasty reversal. So as we go into the day, one of the things I'm going to do first off is pay attention to the extension that was trading into the close. That's going to be the most important thing that bulls need to hold if the bulls are going to continue higher. And I'm going to be using what is the 212 anchor, the 212 anchor to high here, just because it traded once here, it traded twice here, and then for the third time, this is where it traded. We are opening up at 24,680s right now, and that is just above this target. So what I'll do when we open, I'm going to keep the extended session off for the time being, and I'm just going to take this anchor and draw it to whatever that new high is. And when that new high opens, I will be looking for an entry in a support level. Okay, so whenever that opens, I'll have that level. And if we crack this extension, then I'm anticipating us to go down to the bottom of the range here. Now, if we hold it and we are pushing through, really this gap fills another level you're going to want to pay attention to. That gap very well could fill through Wednesday. Maybe we peak through here, but absolutely I would not consider until the second half of the day, if we're still holding above that, if we get above 24,730s here, I would not engage in any new longs. I would not be willing to be a buyer at any price above this or any sequence. Instead, I'd be looking for the the sequence to break. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. If we do get that push higher, that that honestly will set us up for a great shorting opportunity, in my opinion. Moving on to the ES, we've done the same thing here. We've come all the way up into the 50% retracement. Now, this level, this red line, I'm going to get rid of my halfway back here, was on my screen yesterday. But sometimes we don't kind of come into them until a day later. But that 50% retracement, I think it had actually adjusted lower from the point where I drew it. We're going to take that Monday high too low, and we literally stuck that level, and it did adjust from yesterday's trade plan because we made that new low post 2 o'clock, which is after I had left my desk on the prior day. But anyway, we have rotated off of that 66.90 half, and we're just falling lower here, and I fully expect us to get all the way down. Now, the ES actually held a little better in its sequence in the overnight session, while the NASDAQ broke its sequence that it carried into the day. That the ES has held it. So the ES structure is more bullish here, just from the way it's trading. So if the ES can get back, we should get it back at least to this midpoint here. That's a 66.63 half. We're above the midpoint in what I consider to be a bearish trend. We've been making lower highs and lower lows. When you go in, this is something to consider. When you go into a day and over the, the higher time frame, we've been making lower lows and lower highs, and you're above that midpoint. Well, picture being that's the middle of the yesterday's range, right? So it's better to get short in a bearish trend above the middle of yesterday's range. And that's where the middle of yesterday's range is here for the 60 for the ES, 66.65. So really shorts above 66.55 are better than shorts below. And then same thing, like yesterday we were super aggressive. So you had the midpoint or the lower mid, which is this green line. What's better? A short when we trade the green line or a short below the green line? I mean, just look at the price action. And that's just a fib measurement on the daily. Okay. So that's what I got here for the ES. Let me actually measure the same sequence I measured in the NASDAQ. We need to go to a 1 minute time frame, and then we'll be determining what I'm anticipating to break. It's the same thing, 2:12 p.m. to high. This is what we traded. We're going to be opening up when we complete those targets. I'll draw that same anchor new high. That's what I got. We got 5 minutes to the open. Let's flip over to gold and oil. Gold just swept up right here, right before I was speaking, and tag the 61 of this short I have. Let's see if it, which is the full halfway back short. Gold has a tendency, and a lot of the markets do. They'll go up, they'll sweep 61s because there's a lot of stops there, and then we'll completely reverse. We're still, aggressively in an uptrend, but I'll tell you what, if this ends up just being a sweeping wick and we can get an inverse fair value gap, I like to go to the 15-minute time frame for this. You can see we have this 15-minute time frame, ATR bar up, sweep of the 61, and then immediately back down. And no continuation of the buyers above that. If we can't roll back above this short and we start getting some closes really below this most recent low, if we start getting some closes below 37.84, it's going to be on to the short side because we're going to be coming out of a setup that has a downside target of 37.32. Now, I don't know if all of that's going to happen. But if it does, if we do start rolling over, you want to be thinking of the possibility that this higher time frame short setup is on its way to profit targets, and its profit targets are well below us. They're well below us. They're 55 points below us. You could realistically take this trade, put a stop above highs, and aim down there. That's a risk 1 to make 6. It's a standard fib risk reward ratio. But if we roll over here, you can bet that this thing's got a long way to go if we cannot clear above this level. So this is something I'm really paying attention to just because of the positioning of this current um, market. And then in oil, oh, man, the best trade, this is a trade I wanted to take. It traded at 5 a.m. Chicago time. to be honest. I'm not awake at 5 a.m. Chicago time. So I have not been able to get in this trade, but yesterday, oil, in my opinion, was one of the best trades that I had personally because oil had a really good, like there was a ton of volatility in the indexes, so the risk to reward ratios were kind of hard to nail down, but the oil market was tight. We planned out that 64.15. I actually did a video on this and I'll release it. I'm just trying to get a guy to make thumbnail for me, but anyways, there was this 64.15 support from the morning trade plan, extension 38% retracement, midpoint of the day, and then we had confirmation, trend bar up, halfway back, just a beautiful series of perfect sequences, and then that ran all the way to the top of the range. So I was really able to milk that trade. And then, coming in today, very technical again. Oil's one of those markets right now where it's like one clean level. There's not a ton of volatility. There's sometimes, like, even though the indexes have a ton of volatility, you really got to use wider stops. I mean, the Nasdaq had 70-point candles yesterday. The ATR in CL right now is less than $200 a contract. Okay, so you can go pretty big in your size if it's less than $200 in a contract. When the Nasdaq, the ATR, value per contract is, you're looking at like $1,200 per contract sometimes in the ATR or more, which is, basically it's just a more expensive stop. So that sometimes, even though volatility presents more opportunities, and if you miss trades, it's easy to kind of make them back. It doesn't always present the best risk to reward ratios. So that's what I got here for the morning trade plan. It is 1 minute to open. I'm going into the day on my Discord in my Zoom, short the NASDAQ. My targets are below the overnight low. I would expect us to get below the overnight low. Please give this video a thumbs up if you're watching. I see a lot of, well, not a lot of you, 20 of you. Nothing, we don't have a huge audience, but we got a great audience. A great audience. And then if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the Discord about what questions you have. This is a Discord here. All right. So yeah, drop in the main trading room. There is a drop in the Nasdaq. Boy, oh boy, you guys must be piling on my trade. Just dropped about 20 points in a couple minutes. I'm gonna switch my charts here. I'm actually gonna get short gold too, just to start a position. Actually, I will just, if we take out the low, I'm gonna sell. Use a stop order to get in if we take out the lows in GC. And then I'm just gonna stay short. Wow, up almost 100 points now on my Nasdaq short. Excuse me while I drink my radioactive green juice. Man, if I spill this stuff on me, it will just absolutely stain the lights out of anything I'm wearing. This stuff right here. It's radioactive. Gotta stay healthy. Oh, there we go. In gold. Market's open. And those targets are going a lot further below us. Because if that trade's going to work, it's going to work really well. All right, we are open here. Let's see. Nice. Nice. My neighbor is moving right now, so there's quite a bit of noise. Wow, right back up. Right back up off the extension. We could be heading for a retest. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. That's what I'm talking about. Look at this volatility. That's 95 points in 5 minutes. You kidding me? Just when you think you're like about to like crush a trade, you're like, never mind. I go straight back up. So that extension, we came right back to it and back above. Sure. So still short NQs. Gotta love a 5 minute open or 9:30 open in a high volatility situation. Do do do. So we're gonna be moving up. Remember those 6690. I mean, and 24,727 are going to be those levels above. See it, and then I don't know. I think you'd want to wait for confirmation now that we're going into this second test. Do do do. Switch this over. All right, here we are coming off. Gold coming out of its halfway back short from the intraday high. So still approaching these resistance levels. We're gonna have to see the in order to confirm this resistance level, we're through the negative 100 of the ES. So if we were to break back below 66.72 right now, that confirms the high. barely into the prior day high in for the Nasdaq right now. Let me shrink my head. It's taking up too much space here. There we go. Wow, what a opening candle. Nasdaq 104 points, 20 in the ES. Wild. Okay. Oil's so strong. Just right back on those highs. Here we are at 66.90 in the ES. I'm actually going to get short this. I don't believe we're just going to go straight up through this full halfway back short, and if we do, so be it. I know what I need to see for confirmation, so getting short up in the 66.90 here in the ES. Um, for me, this would target all the way down to like a 66.46. So I'm gonna make my target 66.46 here. And a couple things need to happen for that to work, right? Like that's the ideal position. I wouldn't be looking for a full target today. We need to get below 66.72s first and foremost. That would give the Bears some confidence. Um, but we're well past targets at resistance, pretty close to that gap fill from last week, or not, it's not last week. That's whatever day that is. Thursday's gap down. Yesterday, I should say. All right. No, I did not. J Holmes. I should have. I mean, I have multiple targets I could come up with, if that's what you're referring to. But as far as where my orders go, I only have one right now. I mean, if you're to draw that extension again, realistically, the gap fill, like that very well could be support. Like, if longs are gonna hold, we're gonna trade down to 24,618s in the NQ and stick it. All right. That gap is, I believe, the 4 o'clock gap is filled in the ES. See if we can crack back below 82s. If we get below 82s in the ES, it should get the ball rolling down to 65s or so. And there's the push lower. Keep her going. Nasdaq's support immediately blows 24,617. And like I said, if these crack, we're going to get the whoosh. We're going to get a big old whoosh. Gold is remaining strong. I think I may have been early on that. If gold really needs to break below 37.76, and if it breaks below 37.76, we'll get the move. I was looking at the wrong time frame chart. I totally messed myself up doing that. Thought I was looking at a 15, I was looking at a 5 as I was quickly running through my morning trade plan. And I saw a signal on the 5 that I wanted on the 15 and thought I saw it on the 15, but I didn't. Man, we bid pretty hard off of that support level. Held 82s in the ES. That was what we needed to crack. Did not. Did not. That's wild. We'll see what happens at 9:55. That might be the next time turning point. 9:55 going into 10 o'clock. Otherwise, we held the most aggressive sequence so far. We need to break below 82s in the ES to confirm anything, any steps lower. I mean, ATR, there's still an incredible range here. We're 1 minute ATR at 7.5 points of the ES on the 1 minute time frame. It's 12 on the 5. The only reason it's still 12 is because basically that's still counting some of yesterday's price action, but the we are very volatile. Let's see if we run off this target here. If we crack up into the 6,700, that's a target from that 85 support. Sometimes in the morning when we get these super aggressive charges, we'll run to that first target and then just dump. Especially if that first target hits right at 955. But all right, I will admit now the Bulls are in charge. The Bulls are in charge of the price action right now. We're up against, potential resistance levels without any confirmation. Still intact. But once, if you are short, if once we do break this support level, like you're gonna want to hold, right? So like, let's just zoom out. I'm at the smallest time frame right now, right? I'm on the 1 minute, but back out. This is a huge short, right? Like that's why I'm leaning into this. This target in the ES is 100 points from where we're trading. You don't get these setups very often. This is 100 point short target, and it absolutely could complete next week. Now, of course, the heat of the moment, we're at this resistance. 10 points feels like a lot, but that's a 10-hour trade to targets from here. And I mean, are we just going to go straight up in a moonshot? Maybe. But if we just lose that first level of support, it will cascade. It's Friday. We could be all the way back at the lows of yesterday before the day's over. Yeah, Ellie, he announced that yesterday multiple times. Don't be surprised. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. A little more action today than yesterday off the open, at least. I mean, technically speaking, yesterday's action was like just violent. This is more tradable, I should say. Not like that. There's more. Yesterday's was a huge open, but this has been more of tradable. 9:55 bar coming up. 5 more minutes till 10 o'clock. We love a good 9:55 reversal. I feel it. Feel it. Do we get that 9:55 reversal? Here we are. Alrighty, let's see. We don't have a news at 10, do we? I'm gonna check real quick. Do, do, do. University of Michigan consumer sentiment in 3 minutes. Okay, we do have consumer sentiment. That is either gonna make or break this trade for me for sure. Or we're gonna run it and jam. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you either close the trade before, let the odds of the market be there. The NASDAQ, the only thing that concerns me is that NASDAQ hasn't traded its resistance during the regular trading hours, and that level is 24,720s. The NQ has not traded it. So I think sometimes when you have those situations, like you'll go up, trade the level before actually both indexes moving lower. And we got 1 minute and 10 seconds until this number. It's revised. I mean, not that it's going to have a huge impact on what the market really wants to do with its life, but could be enough to move us out of this low price action, and then basically we'll have to wait for our next setups. This is gonna end up in the distribution of, let's see where we can, let's plan out where we could drop. If the ES does drop just into its next supports, like the deeper levels, we could get that 69s at the open. All right, let's see what the news is. I'm not quite, let's see. Basically in line, nothing crazy. There's that target and the NASDAQ. So this is where I thought we'd come into that target, 6,700, and then the NASDAQ finally trades its resistance, the higher time frame, where they're just gonna continue to push up through here. Let's see, this is a little off, or this is where we stall. All right, I'm gonna bring my, once this 5 minute bar closes, I'm basically gonna move my stops above this high, because now that that news it out, 10 o'clock is traded, the NASDAQ has traded its higher time frame resistance, the ES has completed that super aggressive morning extension. This is where, if there's continued buyers above these levels, there's no interest in, for myself, being short. So, and then also something to, unless we get some fat bars lower, I'm gonna give this till 10:25. So we have traded this at 10 o'clock. I want to see where we are at 10:25. So this is exactly kind of what I thought may happen. We've traded the full halfway back short now in the Nasdaq. We just nailed that level. That is my red line. When you see that on my screen, that's my one level. Okay, and we're above it a little bit in the ES, but sometimes we just need to trade them both. Sometimes we just need to trade them both for whatever reason. So I want to see if there can be a, so far this is just a minute reaction. I mean, it's, these candles still are huge. It's 52 points in the last 3 minutes in the Nasdaq. So if we can come off this, and everybody, like this open in the Nasdaq really hasn't gone anywhere. every single one of these bars is overlapping. We're still within that first bar was huge. But ever since that first bar, we haven't made much progress. So getting down to 6671 in the ES. So I'm going to target 6671s in the ES on my short, and I'm going to target 24,620s in the Nasdaq. I'd like to go further, but I've just been in this trade so long that I'm not going to be greedy with my targets. Had I just gotten short, waited for that 10 o'clock news, I'd feel a little more comfortable staying short longer. But because I've been short for a while and we've gone back and forth through my entry, I'm not like feeling like I should hold it forever. So I'm just going to go with my conservative targets here. If we can even get those, we still need to crack below 66.85. And yes, looks like it's going to happen, but you know what happens when you count your chickens before they hatch kind of thing. So if we can crack to 66.85, your next stop is 66.72s. Your next stop in the NASDAQ is 24,620s. And that'll cover my NASDAQ and ES short. I did get taken out on gold, only because I am silly and misread the chart time frame I was looking at. I would have never taken that trade if I knew I was looking at the right time frame, and I'm mad at myself. Rushing through my trade plan this morning. If you see it and you're not in it, it's over, as they say. If you see the trade and you're not in it, that level was 24,720 in my trade plan on my screen for the last hour. And even yesterday, actually, it was even on my screen yesterday. And there's your fat drop. I'm so tempted to just drag my order down because it hasn't been 25 minutes. This is a 10-minute reaction. Wow, oil. Good, good. All right, coming into 50, 60 point target there in the NQ for my entry. Covering here. I'll get in another trade if I see it, but like I said, this is why I'm taking my conservative entry. Had I gotten short at 10 o'clock, I would be cool as school, hold longer. But I didn't. I've been in the trade for long enough where I'm just like, you know what? Take take the take the shorter target. Take the shorter target, and then my ES target here. And also because I'm short ES and NQ, like I got to take one of those off. I'm not gonna. There's too much risk to continue to hold. I tell you what, I will hold my ES through this support. I'm gonna give my ES 25 minutes, but one thing I will do is bring my stop down. So if I'm moving my target, I gotta move my stop. And that's kind of like a good rule. If you move your target, move your stop. I'm gonna look for. I think we can get to 53s. I think that's like a reasonable. I mean, I have much larger. If I was swinging this position, much larger targets below. All right, so ES, what is, am I like, my ninja's frozen. Great, great. There we go. All right, what a beast move in CL. Oh my goodness. Wish I my entry, wish I was awake. All right, we're down to where my initial plan to cover ES was, but looking for a push through because it hasn't yet been 25 minutes since we started selling off. We can definitely bounce here. Nasdaq has cracked its level. What a beautiful freaking entry. My goodness. That was nice. Oh. Here we go. Short ES target about my target 35 points. If we can get it, we need to break here. This is support. I'm just hoping it breaks. Back to the open. We can crack it. I'm not I am expecting us to actually bounce here, so it's like when you know it's gonna bounce, and then you see it bounce, and you're like, I want to cover. Ah. Man, gold back to 5,000. You guys, my volume okay? How about now? I mean, I'm a little far from my microphone when I said that, but if it is it quiet now? Yeah, okay. It's good to know I gotta be close to it. wow, gold. Be right back. Still short ES. Really don't got much to say, but I'm just like watching my move go to target. Hopefully you guys are too. That is what I'm talking about. See that like it's so like when we're up at those shorts, you're just like, this is so scary. And then it's like, just wait. Collapse. Absolute collapse. Go back, watch it over. Everything you see on my screen is what I use. I don't use anything else. I don't need it. I don't care. I know some people use it effectively, good for them. I don't. I think at some point you get analysis paralysis. If you're looking at so many things, you how do you concentrate on order flow, market profile, Fibonacci's, VWAP, delta divergences. Like you don't need all that. Like I mean also I've been looking at the same thing for a really long time. So I think if you study anything in extreme detail, there's a million ways to make money in the markets. You like that, Tyler? Calling that shot? That's what I'm talking about. Where else do you see that? You don't see that anywhere else. I literally zoomed out and showed you how far we were going to drop. Write me a review. Thank you. You're welcome. No, it's not net. I mean, we could get there. So, like, my green and red lines are basically like my most important support or resistance levels for the day. We can get there. That's currently not my target. I already covered my NASDAQ, and the reason I covered my NASDAQ is because I was short both the ES and both the NASDAQ. And even though I thought we'd go lower, I was in the trade for more than 25 minutes before it started moving my direction. And I just have a rule if I'm in both the ES and both the NASDAQ for more than 25 minutes and they're not moving my way, I'm not going to hold for anything past like at least like a shorter target. Like, so I'm not going to hold both ES and NQ for lows of the day. If I had entered at 10 o'clock and we moved my way right away, I would have felt way more comfortable holding them. But I entered before 10 o'clock, so I didn't want to sit around in a position for hours, potentially. If I'm short the ES and I'm short the Nasdaq, it's the same position, right? Like realistically, if I get stopped on one, I'm probably getting stopped on both. And if I start my day stopped on Nasdaq, stopped on S&P, that's and at the time I was stopped at gold, so I would have had three stop outs to start my day. Not a good position to start. So being cautious in just managing my book, I took off my Nasdaq. I held my S&P. I could have held them both, right? But like at some point you're just like you're giving up profits, potential profits on the table to just secure your position. So that's like that was my thought process as I was managing those trades. I mean, we don't have these types of markets every single day where you can kind of nail, I mean, but when they're there, when they're there, you can nail them. Man, oil is ripping. What is going? I do not want to be recording. Stop recording. I want to be streaming. Streaming. We hit a negative 100. Thank you, Tyler. Yup. Stick around. Join the Discord. You'll learn more. New lows for the NQ. Come on. Yeah, boy. I'm kind of hungry. No, man. Honestly, I may cover. We're just starting to. Oops. I'm gonna cover. Actually, let me look at the sequence here. Like we've gone down pretty far without uh any structure. Right now my target is 52s. It's about 10 points away. I mean, we're still thinking, God, I think we're going lower on the over some time, but it's like we could easily rally back to 6680s before dropping. So I want to stay tight with my trail here. I mean, I haven't actually even moved my stop in the ES. So I'm gonna start moving it down. We either kind of need to go straight down or forget it, but hit a couple good trades here this morning. Kicking off the Friday could be done in an hour. Yeah, I definitely want to capture, like, I'm gonna watch this for a couple more minutes. I mean, we've gone straight down here. Yeah, I'm gonna cover. I'm out 23 points on the Nas or the ES there, 60 in the Nasdaq, -8 in the gold, my gold trade. And that'll wrap up the first hour on Friday. Good morning, everybody. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and join my Discord. I will catch you guys. I'm gonna leave my Zoom screen share up where I'm show my orders and go to answering all the comments in my Discord. Everybody have a great day. See you guys on Monday.